Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Birds and Bots podcast, episode 19, I think, maybe 20. I haven't done one in about 7 months, so this is another first one going down. I'm here with Richmond. What's your last name, Richmond? YU. Today we'll just be talking about whatever goes. At my podcast, I always find the best way to think about it is it's not even there. Really, what we were just talking on the way here, and that's all this is.
Yeah.
So it'll just flow. We can start off light. We were talking about a lot of random things. So where are you working right now?
Well, right now I'm working at Sun Peaks.
Yeah.
Managing staff account.
Cool.
Being in the working class and working class is not fun at all. Number one to start with.
Yeah, no duh.
Yeah.
So yes, and a manager though. So it's just above the working class. You're at like the lower rungs of the middle class because you're like a manager of people. So you're not just working, but you have to have like the stress of not your own life, but now you have to stress with everyone else.
Yeah.
Right?
After my job right now is the most challenging thing is responsibilities. Learning all the responsibilities. Like if you're working, I'm working. Sun Peaks is a very famous ski hill, I guess, around the world.
Yeah, up in Kamloops and then about 45 minutes northeast or northwest, east.
Yeah, northeast. So basically, it's like you have the whole community in a way that I see it as like Sun Peaks is also a hub for Kamloops.
Yeah.
Also, it provides entertainment, sports, and a platform for social up at Sun Peaks. But then in another way, it's also itself, it's a little ecosystem where you have long-term people who lives in there, and then they, in a way, they do different things to shape the community.
Cool.
But then my biggest and one of the most challenging thing is that it's how to interact with people.
Okay.
Because like in university, like a lot of people in a way they're educated.
Sure.
So after they come to,
or at least seeking knowledge. They might not be educated.
Yeah.
They still might be stupid as shit, but they might at least be trying.
They're trying. Like you at least in university, you have a lot of people who think rationally. That's what I found. Like they will value more facts, truth, rather than emotion or concurrent feelings. Whereas up there, I just found that people are just very emotional.
That's just not how I feel, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But then it's just like getting from very academic base, which I really enjoy, into something very hedonic based.
Cool.
It's a huge shift in environment.
Cool.
And the hardest thing is that, for example, like putting out eviction letters. That's one of the hardest things.
No doubt.
I have to. The first eviction letter was nerve-wracking. Who knows what happened to the person? Is he going to be drunk if you deliver the letter, or is he going to be emotionally unstable?
Sure.
So that's one of the most difficult thing that I have to do. And in order just to counter that, I've been reading a lot of books on human relationship, especially the most classic one, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I was just talking about that today. Yeah.
That's a very good book to read. And then also meditating helps.
Yeah.
Meditate every day, at least twice a day. But
good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's good.
Yeah.
Try it.
Oh, I meditate, but I definitely don't do it twice a day.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's tangent off, but I think lucky for me, I've done a lot of meditation through the sitting practice, and now I've really gone into the practice of just meditation through the moment. Like when I cook, I'm just in the moment of cooking.
Yeah.
So like it's a different practice than just the breathing in and out and enjoying the moment. But anyways, Matt, well that's interesting. It's really hard, you're saying already, and it's so, you said hedonically? Is that what you said? So you feel like you're growing a lot? Obviously you're forcing yourself to start reading books to see other ways of life and people and relationships, and it's not about the rational, but you're trying to fix who you are in the situation with other people, and it's just like this whole new world, or not whole new world at least, but it's like it's definitely outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's very, like, to be honest, I love skiing. Skiing is like, if you say if my identity, I would say like 50% of me, it's like I'm a ski bum.
I love it.
Yeah, I love being outside. I love doing stuff during the winter. I'm always active outside rather than being inside.
Sure.
And it's like, yes, Sun Peaks is, in a way, it's like, I feel like it's home for me because that's where I learned how to ski a lot. And I work, actually one of my first job in Canada is working up in Sun Peaks.
Okay.
My first
so you've been there for a long time.
Yeah, I've been there for a long time. Like during my student years, I ski up there every weekend, and not just that, I work up.
You mean in high school, right?
High school. Oh no, I came here during university.
Okay.
So during whole my university life, I spent my winters up at Sun Peaks.
Cool.
And then the most interesting thing is that you will see different people around the world, and people who share the same value as you, and people who don't share the same value as you. Just like what we were talking earlier, it's just trying to find that harmony between how to managing, or in a way manage expectation from people, how to manage people who are very more rational, or how do you manage people who are very emotional.
Yeah, and even it's a very interesting thing too. As we talked, you said it earlier that you're talking about the best part about the rational mind of the university student. At the same time, in my first, how you'd say, stereotype as someone who loves a ski bum, well, they're like, yeah, man, I'm just seeing the world, man. You're like living one experience after another, man. But then you're also like the opposite of that, from what I'm sounding. So it's really interesting that you also have this harmony of balance in between wanting to be enough of a ski bum, but also wanting to be this highly rational person, and also not liking people who are too emotionally invested, but also like, I haven't heard you say anything against too much rational, but I guess technically the thing, because it's too rational, it's just trying to do the wrong thing for the wrong reasons.
Come on, like if you're on a ski hill, especially on a chairlift, like it's only like 7 minutes, let's say, up from the bottom to the top, and you're with a stranger. Like you could be a hippie and then talk about like, oh, I just had this like crazy party last week and stuff like that. Interesting, but then I would like to talk about like, how are you? I kind of want to know that person, where they're from. In a way, it's like, this is how communication starts. Especially, that's why I like skiing a lot. It's that you are being forced outside in the cold.
Your adrenaline's rushing. You're in a state of survival versus death, because like naturally as humans, being up in a mountain is not a good place for you to be. But now in modern life it is, because we have coats and Gore-Tex and all the good things.
All the good things. But still, like being outside the element, in a way, sometimes it can be challenging.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But that is it. But that you, in a way, I feel like this is how we actually, what humans are prone to.
Yes.
We are.
We're not bears. We're not meant to go eat in the caves.
Yeah, or we're not meant to be alone.
No.
Or in the cage for the rest of our lives. We are social creatures.
Yeah.
And right now with all the iPhones, iPad, headphones, everyone, and if you go to the supermarket, it's ridiculous. That I think personally, it's like everyone's with their headphones. You can't even, like, they don't even know what they're, like, they're like, in a way, you feel that they're robots.
Their own little worlds.
Their own little worlds.
Maybe not robots, I would say, but I know what you mean. But they're so they've looked so deeply without even knowing. They're not even reflectively internalizing themselves. It's like technology has internalized us into our own worlds, because we didn't choose to go use the technology. I mean, if you're raised like we're in the same age probably, where like technology came into our lives. But if you're like just a little younger, where it's always been around, that's not even a choice. You're just living in the world around you. To me, I have the phone as something really useful. I use social media a lot. I'm doing this podcast because it's spreading out. It's a way where you get to sit down and we talked in a long time. But it can also be like, if you're not aware of it, doing these horrible, well, not horrible, but it can definitely make you so internalized, you're losing on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially something that sometimes it shocks me, especially, I don't know, I like to walk around anywhere, I'm a geography major, so walkability is like, oh, this is what is like, why people, for example, like, I don't understand why if Starbucks is, let's say, 5 minutes from your apartment, why do you have to drive instead? Why can't you walk?
I hate vehicles. I like them when you need them, but why use it? I walk to school 30 minutes every day unless it's too cold, but like, yeah, man.
But then, like, in a way that, like, walking, it's actually, I just read about it, it's like one of the most complex movement of the human body. You need your eyes, you need to focus, your legs, your arms, all the motions. It's all happening in your brain, but you don't even know what's happening. Though.
It's like breathing. It just happens. But like if you do it wrongly, it hurts. Like, you need to make sure you stretch enough, or else it's painful. But it's also, your brain starts working, your blood starts oxygenating more. Your whole body is almost, you're not getting a full body workout, but like your whole body is in motion when you're walking, right? So it's a lot of benefits.
It's lots of benefits. It's also in a way that I personally find, if you just, let's say, because we're in TRU right now, look at all the green spaces we got. Like, from where I'm from, Hong Kong, green space, good luck.
You really? I thought because it's in the mountain, it's like a mix and match, as long as you just like walk through and around.
But then in Hong Kong, it depends. I was lucky enough to grow up in a hill, like next to a mountain.
Okay.
So I still have green spaces, but the downside is traveling. Because when I was back at home, whenever I had to go to the nearest transit hub, I had to take a minibus.
Okay.
That's like it fits 16 people, and the drivers just constantly speed and whiz through around the hill.
Jeez.
It's fun and hectic at the same time. Good memories, bad memories.
You just live it. It's what it is, right?
It's just yeah. But then in a way is that, how about, I'll just put it this way. If you're in a space with concrete and then with screens flashing, speakers blasting 24/7, and lights keep flashing and stuff.
Overstimulation.
Yeah, overstimulation. You can't rest, to be honest. Like back at home, you will hear ambulance running even at the mountains for like 2 in the morning. And
Hong Kong's the city of neon, right?
Yeah.
Constantly. But it's not the same as, I think this is worse. I think have you been to the airport recently?
Not really.
There's always like little iPhones on tables, like, but like when you go through Vancouver, or if you go through like Toronto, it has like iPhones on every table, so people can sit down if they don't have their phone, so they can just play online.
Yeah.
And like there's big TVs going at all times, and it's just so much, and it's in every room, and it's like in almost every room here. It's like a TV.
Yeah.
And it's like this is the idol of the capitalist America. The TV in the corner of the room.
TV, and then also that TVs, for example, they can be helpful. For example, if you're doing presentation in front of everyone, you're not just going to use your smartphone like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
People who's like set like 40 kilometers away or whatever, they can't see it.
Yeah.
TV, yes, it gives us information. Helps us to portray ideas through presentations, visual stimulation, stuff like that. But then there's also a downside to it. For example, addiction.
Yes.
Over addiction, video games,
entertainment, video games, all these things, and it's like we've said already. It's like, again, it's defining the balance line between the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Because it's there's so many good things and bad things. Are you sure you're doing too much right now?
Yeah.
Because it's okay to watch TV. It's okay to binge watch Netflix every once in a while.
Yeah.
Are you binge watching every night? That's a problem. Are you using it for teaching yourself new videos on YouTube, DIY projects, or are you just using it for smut and all these not useful? And it's so much all at once.
Yeah, it's like technology is also like, in a way, right now with technology, in a way, could you argue that technology is a product of human creativity or intellectual intelligence? Something like that.
I would say technology is, again, just a tool.
Yeah.
I would say it's like, unlike ne-ho, it's more like a hoe, which you can use it to gut rice or wheat, or you could kill someone.
Yeah.
But the hoe itself is not the problem. A hoe could kill someone or it can give food. This can do good things, technology in general, or it can do bad.
Yeah.
I think it's the tool you use. It's your glasses. It's just another tool.
Yeah.
It just does a lot of things for just one tool.
But then, in a way, I start to think about, is technology a blessing or a curse to human?
Ooh. I think the problem would be our lack of education.
Yeah.
I think we as humans need to make better education and use the phones to be more educational for people. I wrote a paper last year on regulation of Facebook and Twitter and all the big tech guys.
Yeah.
And I love them. I love Facebook. I love Google. I think they're a benefit to mankind. But I think if their job, they should be because the company that is Facebook needs to be a little. People are scared of censorship, so it's a weird balance, but they shouldn't be allowing like hate speech. They shouldn't be allowing like defamatory or like, I'm sure you've heard stories where people get psychologically bullied. Some girls kill themselves because they're bullied. We have the responsibility in technology and education. Why not have Facebook when you log on? We always do these privacy accepts. Why do we always have privacy accepts? Why not have to take a course to use Facebook?
Yeah.
Why not have like a 10-minute video and like maybe once a month, like we don't pay to use Facebook. Well, what if Facebook changes a thing too? And it wouldn't be Facebook. You'd have to have a government regulation that would have all companies that want to use social media. They'd all have to create little 2-minute videos, and that's how you pay to use Facebook. You watch it, Did you know by using Facebook for more than 30 minutes a day, you get more depressed, that you can be envious, you can get sad, you can, and new videos, there's so many other things. Did you know by reaching out to a group on Facebook, you can make more friends, you can have a better environment. That's how you pay to use Facebook.
Yeah.
So we can make the technology. The technology is us fixing it.
Yeah. So it's in a way that, yes, it's also a blessing and a curse to human.
Only if we let it be one. We have to, at least, think of it, if you look at curses, that you have probably, like the Jews, we throw salt over our shoulder for good luck.
Yeah.
So we've decided to use salt as a good luck charm, right?
Yeah.
So why not fight the curse of technology by finding new methods to fight the curse? In that way, you would be making educational videos, or maybe throw some salt over your shoulder.
Yeah. It's like stuff like that. It's very, that's what we talked about earlier, harmony.
Yeah.
It's how are we going to achieve it? But then it's interesting is that in our education system, there's no such thing as harmony. They have never taught us what is.
Do you mean in the West, or do you, because you said you did high school in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I did high school here.
That's why I thought I asked when you were skiing up there. Okay, so you did high school here. Did they have harmonious classes in anything in elementary school in Hong Kong?
No, to be honest.
No. Hey.
It's like in Asia, because you have so many people, competitiveness, it's basically what you have to do.
So you're not learning about harmony, are you?
You're not learning about harmony, you're learning what it is like to compete.
It's almost like, just like how in Canada, it's your family's responsibility to teach you how to do taxes and do this and how to be a proper Canadian, right? So in Hong Kong, because like it's not a religion, it's a philosophy, right? The philosophy of how to be harmonious. So that's almost on the family, not the state.
But then in a way that the harmony, you have so many different definitions for harmony, right? For example, in Asia, everyone thinks very collectively in a way that's already a harmony.
Yeah.
You don't really see a lot of, you will still see conflicts, but not like in here where everyone is very individual. They have their own style, their own belief and all that stuff, which is fine. I respect everyone.
What's both? I want more of yours and I also like my individualism.
Yeah.
They have both benefits.
They're both benefits. But in Asia, it's more like if you dress differently. For example, everyone, let's say they dress, let's say in smart casual, for example. And then for some reason, you just feel like, oh, I don't want to dress smart casual today. I'll dress like Gothic style. Like with like, I don't know, earrings and then mohawk and stuff like that. People think like, what is this person doing? He is not part of the group. He needs to be excluded before he can harm our ideology. It's, in a way, comfort zone. That's what we are. We always have this comfort zone, and we're in a way that we're too comfortable in it. We have not, in a way, you could say that we are all like goldfishes. Like
goldfishes?
Yeah, goldfishes in a bowl.
Oh, goldfishes. Okay, I thought you actually meant there's a game called Go Fish.
Oh, sorry.
Go fishes, like go fish. Okay.
Goldfishes.
Yeah.
Fishbowl.
How do you think that relates to? I know it's not your culture. So the Japanese, there's this the weeaboo or wafu culture.
Yeah.
But like also an Asian culture that also cares about collectivity. Do you think the rise of like the manga and that is like almost the collapse of this collectivism? Because they're almost creating new societies within it, right? Like the people who wear those. There's usually white people that do that, but a lot of Japanese as well.
Yes.
Is that because of like the neutering of the Japanese after World War II, and that it's affecting their internal collective ideology?
In a way, I would say that as I also love anime, and I like I used to be a huge fan of those. Used to be
me as well.
Yeah, a very heavy otaku. So in a way that it's like some of the anime that I watch, I really enjoy. It's like you are watching some in a way that it's like unlike where drama in anime because you can draw. For example, like you can have CGI and stuff like that, but it's the impact in anime and CGI.
I dislike it myself. The CGI.
CGIs,
more to the drawing.
And then the way that the characters you can convey, and then how they convey characters, like a lot of internal dialogues and stuff like that. You can actually basically, in a way, you have a godlike view, seeing what a character actually looks like. One of my favorite anime was The Legend of the Galactic Heroes. At the moment, it's a very it's a very old anime. They make a remake. It's about this democratic society in crashing with an hierarchy society of ruling the universe.
Cool.
So you have a lot of ideology from the democratic side of blaming that the hierarchy society is not that great.
Sure.
But then you, on the other hand, you see, hey, there are some other advantages from a hierarchical society where democratic societies don't have. So you have always, you can see this spiral of conflicts or paradox.
Sure.
So that's one thing that makes people intrigued and to try to be different,
Yeah.
or to start a new social norm. But then if it is just like we're in a goldfish, you can see something outside, but then it's just society, friends, family, and stuff like that. It's just like a glass wall or glass ceiling that you have this vision, but then it's that's stopping you to going there.
It's sorry. Okay, I had it to the stopping you from going there. What do you mean in that sense? Like I understand the glass stops you, but I thought you were going what's going on the other side, and the glass is like your vision into their side.
Yeah.
But the glass is stopping you, or is it when you realize you go through the glass, it's not as green as you thought?
You can either go both ways. For example, like in Asia, like let's say if you're dressing gothically, people, your close friends or your family is like, why are you doing this? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
And they will try, in a way, many ways.
Are you angry at us?
Yeah. They'll try to talk you out.
Sure.
But then they won't give you the freedom to explore something new.
Okay.
So in a way that traditional society, especially in Asia, with a very, very collective view, I would see is like a curse in Asia, where many people are very creative. They have big and huge visions, but then it's just society. It's like, why are you dressing differently? Why do you talk differently to us? Like, this is like, if you go there, they will feel like they're missing someone, and then in a way, they don't want to lose that someone in their own community. So in a way, they're trying. That's what my analogy. Well, very vague, but that's why.
No, I know what you mean completely. How do you think? How does that play out with Buddhism from India, but it's spread obviously to southeastern Asia?
Yes.
And it obviously even in southern parts of, I assume, in China, right? In like the Cantonese regions for sure. So Buddhism is about finding, I can't remember if it's samsara or nirvana. I think it's one of the two, about the individual's freedom of the circle, right?
Yeah.
So that's almost like, how does that individualism of Buddhism meld with this? Because it is about, like, that's what Buddhism's philosophy kind of does, right? You do care about the environment, because once you awaken, you realize all this stuff is going on. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's almost super individual, because you need to find your own issue.
Yeah. It's a tough question. To be honest, what is individualism? What is the individual? Is it the physical body, or is it the mental mind? Something that it's.
I would say it's definitely the mind. I think collectivism is like to lose the mind. It's just you can all look the same, but the individual is like. So in religious backgrounds, God gave us free will, or God gave us free choice.
Yes.
And He didn't give us free will. Like, my favorite color is like gray or blue. Yeah. But I don't choose it's gray or blue. I can't say right now it's actually green. I can't actually just will myself to want green to be, or I can't like something less blue if I want to. I can force myself to. Yeah. But like the individual then is, for some reason, when we live our lives, like maybe your mom hugged you or didn't hug you, or you got beat by your dad, or was a really nice dad, an alcoholic, all these things that happen in your life affect you. You don't choose those things, and you don't choose how you react to them. Yeah. So then all the things that you are, like, I like podcasts, I like talking to people, I like all these things. I didn't choose these things, but because of the experience of my life, and I'm freely allowed to talk about why I like these things. I didn't choose to like them, but I can talk about it. The individual that is me is all the cumulative things that happened to me that allowed me to mix them into myself and spread them outwards. I see. But if you're collective, like, you're supposed to all like this to an extent. Like, you have your own, you're allowed to be, even in collective society, you're allowed to be a little bit yourself, right? You're not forced to wear the same suits all day. Like, that's insane. That no one's doing that. Yeah. But it's that freedom to let everything compared to like, but it's also too much sometimes too, right? Yeah.
Because it's, in a way, I would see, you can, because individualism, that beats, you can, in a way that, could you say that you could actually explore it in different type of scales? For example, like the Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty used to be, or the Chinese.
I remember the Ming. I know the Ming. Yeah.
I'm not.
14 to 15, 16,
Yeah.
I think. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm not a Chinese
It's all good.
history expert. I haven't read that and studied that for a long time.
It's 5,000, man. Don't worry about it.
It's too much. So basically, you could say that before communists, it's where the dynasties and different dynasties.
Ming, then Qing.
Ming, then Qing, and then
the revolution and all the periods of the falling of the queen and the empress.
So during that time, before the Ming, in a way, decided to lock themselves in China.
Before the Ming.
Yeah, I mean
after the Tang.
Oh man, I can't remember anything.
Like 11, like you mean the period when Zhang He, that's probably pronouncing it wrong, wanted to explore and do the colonizing and the freedom and going out and reaching out. The last time China went global.
So after the king died during that time, the emperor died,
and then everything switched.
Everything just like switch around.
Yeah.
So in a way, that could you say that once they switch over, they just lock themselves out?
Well, I don't even think, like, I don't know about you, but I don't think collectivism is just like an Asian thing, but rather a modern, not a modern thing, but it's definitely a thing you've had for a long time. But like the West used to be it as well. Like, I mean, you were in a French village. If you were trying to act out against the French culture around you, maybe it was a little bit differently because they're just how they were, but like, you had to do the games, you had to do the emotions, you had to be Christian, and you had to be a part of the group, you had to do the farming, you played your role, and it was a different role, but it was a very collective society where you had your part here, and then the Lord was like and the bishop was the way to the God, and like, but that was thrown out after like the 1500s and what happened in the last 500 years. But the West was like that too, right? And even you could even say the West used to be more spiritual, but it's not anymore as it moved rationally after the Enlightenment and all that, because it used to be like, I'm sure you know the Amazons or the Celtic Druids, or even like the Romans who would sometimes, like the secret cult religions, they had this weird spiritual shit going on too, right? It just changed, but so it's human, right? It's not a part of, it is cultural, but it can definitely change like that. For sure.
But then in a way you could say, how about, because in a way that I would see that in the sense that Europe, let's say for now, let's exclude North America for now. Let's just talk about Europe. Since Europe, it's compared to Asia, the landmass compared to Asia, it's relatively small.
It's very tight. Tight. Very well. I mean, China, from what I know, if you compare, if Xinjiang and Tibet are there, it's bigger than Canada by stepping zones.
But then it is, because in a way that, because I'm a geography major, I like to look at space. So space in Europe is very compact. But then space in Asia, it's like vast.
And do you mean all of Asia, or do you mean like culturally? Like when you say Asia,
I would say.
Because like Southeast Asia has always been a little different than like China, but there's a similarity, and it is obviously its own, the mountain range, the geography obviously is what allows it, right? I guess. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, because I would just say, let's say with geography limitations, you will have one, let's say, culture group and one outer culture group. They're being divided. From a river, from a mountain, they have their own different way of.
Or just long spaces, like why the Xinjiang or the Xinjiang, is that right? Xinjiang? That's why they're Muslim, because they're past that, they're in the desert and they're closer to the Middle East. Or not the stands.
Because like with a lot of, I've been reading a lot of books, especially one of my all-time favorite I'm reading right now is Guns, Germs, and Steel.
Good book. I just read it over the summer.
I'm reading that right now. Just realize that, hey, it may be actually, because it's in a way environmental determinism could you say that it impacts our individualism, where, for example, just like the example, if there's two culture groups being divided by a mountain, or let's say Australia and New Zealand, they're like way off the world. And
they're far from each other, 1,000 miles away.
They have their own culture. They develop differently. In a way, they already have their own self identity.
Is it in that book that talks about that the world is becoming more globalized, because as there used to be the North America, South America, Europe, and China, but now that and then once we came to North America, then it was just three worlds. There was North America, Europe, and Asia, and now it's really as global as the West and Asia right now. Is that this book? I read his other book too. He came out with one just recently.
Is it Uprising? That's
He has another book that came out, and I read that, and
Yeah.
they're very similar. But I think one of the two books talks about how the world is getting smaller. There used to be more worlds because of geography,
Yeah.
but there's less worlds. Like even though there's only one Earth, there was less worlds now
Yeah.
than 500 years ago because of transportation technology, and like I'm connected to someone with like someone in Europe
Yeah.
more than before. Okay.
So that's like one of the questions is that, yes, two different social groups divided by geography boundaries, they develop their own identity, where in a way you could say that it's their individual, it's like two individual groups. But unlike in Europe, where everything is all compacted, competition of scarcity of food, land, and resources, where everyone has to compete. In a way, the more you compete, the more ideas you have to, in a way, outwin someone.
But like I know China the most in history than
Yeah.
the other ones. That's why I could talk about Japan as well.
Yeah.
'Cause Japan is very similar to Europe too. It's smaller than Europe, but it was very tightly compact and
Yeah.
very scarce resource. Same with Korea, or at least not the North, but Korea's always had the same thing.
Yes.
But even China has had a lot of competition because like there's been dozens of periods of like the Three Kingdoms with the first and another one and the Han Dynasty and the Zhao and like the multiple warlord periods,
Yeah.
So they were constantly competing. There's only a few periods of like pure harmony, right? Like
Yeah.
there's like the Han was the biggest first one for about, well, there's one before it that we're not sure, but like
Yeah.
400 for the Han, and then like the Three Kingdoms was like 200 years of just disharmony, and then there's the Nine Princes for a while, and that was just disharmony until like the Tang came in. They had 400 years of harmony-ish, but I'm sure there was a lot of plotting. But then another 300 years of violence,
Yeah.
and then they had a little thing, and then the Mongols came in, and that was the Song in the north. So like they've had competition amongst themselves too.
Yes.
So what do you mean? What's the difference between that competition and like the European competition?
But then in a way, is that maybe creativity?
Well, like both cultures, at least in China and Europe, there was the 1,000 years of or the 100 philosophies that was coming out in Europe for a while, like logic, Stoicism, Plato, like
Yeah.
that period that happened, and then China had their 100 years
Yeah.
of the 100 flowers, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like that was competitive ideologies, and they've slowly whittled down as time went down, right? Competition, I don't know.
This is in a way that we're basically living in competition all the time.
Yes.
We're being surrounded, but we don't even know. For example, our body, we're in compete with the outside environment. There are viruses and bacteria and germs floating around, and our body is always in constantly fighting on them off.
Yep.
In a way, it's basically the whole world is basically survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Who can innovate creatively wins the war, and they will die, and the next person who has this ability, they would basically just rule or control.
But I think there's a way that we can do. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had this conversation with the guy I was just doing it with. How to phrase this out? That you don't need a zero-sum game. And I've been thinking about this thought in my process for a while, and I don't think it's the right way to say it, but I'll just say an awkward, like the West does it best in the fact that the West, and it's maybe not the best, but they do it by, it's called syncretism, which is like, a primary example was the Greeks came to Egypt, and then they started mixing their gods, mixing their clothes.
Yeah.
Then the Romans took the Greeks' information, they took their gods, because the Romans are Greeks, but we always think of them as the same people, because
Yeah.
that's how well their culture blended. So it was like Greco-Roman world, but it was also a Greek world too, and an Asian world, or not an Asian, well, you could say Asia, because they used to call Turkey Asia, right?
Yeah.
But then they also, the Romans were kilts, or not kilts, tunics and all that, but then they stole from the Celts, like the Gauls and the German people who wore actual pants, and that's how we have pants. So like they take other people's culture
Yeah.
and blended them together. Maybe there was more, I mean, obviously that would be the difference between Europe and that, because there's more cultures that were mixed together than like some. But I mean, India has had a lot of cultures in its section too.
Yeah.
So competition was there as well, because like if you talk to an Indian, you'll hear like every state is almost a different country.
Yeah.
Like so, it's like how all white guys look alike, all Indians look alike, because but they're actually different cultures.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but same with you. I wanted to talk about that too. Actually, this is slightly off topic. I read recently that the Cantonese people are the Genman people, which is more related to the Vietnamese people. I didn't realize that.
I didn't even realize that too.
Yeah. I thought, like, or at least not even that. Like all the way from Henan to all the way out to to the Shanxi people, you're more related to genetically to the people of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So like you're not even like Han Chinese. Well, you are a little, but like you're more them than them.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that.
But then in a way, how do you define a race in a way? Like, do you define it by gene or?
I'm defining it by gene, but I'm not saying
yes.
culturally, but like just by genetically.
Yeah, because in a way that sometimes I just feel like if you step into this zone too much,
Sure.
you need to have like a defined goal,
Sure.
defined meaning. Like for example, race. How are you gonna define it? You're gonna buy like your blood is like let's say 40%,
Sure.
whatever.
We're all humans.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then why does it has to be divided?
Because genetic modifications affect how we are. Like I don't have it, but like my thumb has like this thing, right?
Yeah.
So it affects the way we view the world. Like it's our mutations that make like I'm Middle Eastern, but I look white because my people live north.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm Jewish, but my family lives in Russia, and I look white, but technically I should look brown. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird. It's more like it's understanding the story of a people and like how you do in your environment is based on the mutations that your body adapted to a region, which affects how you view the world, right? Like how you see, how you hear, the concepts that come through, where you are in the world, and is geography as well. Because of that relation, have you talked about the trustingness between cultures?
Trustingness.
Like where what the West does really well, though, is that you can trust a stranger.
Yeah.
That's why we have trade compacts where you can trade with someone in China or trade with someone in India. And like because you have rules through contracts, we don't care what you look like as long as you pay your money and you sign the contract. Because then if you fail to pay the contract, but other cultures are like completely scared. Someone from outside their culture comes in, they're like an outsider, like right, but like. By being more related to, say, in southern China, or more related to the Southeast Asian groups, you guys would trade more and your ideas would change. But if they started talking to people in North China, you guys are close. You're closer related, so you work. But them trading with them just wouldn't. So you miss out on this like cultural diversity that comes around with it.
Yeah, it's in a way, North America or any immigrant countries like Canada has a huge advantage was this whole diversity, cultural diversity. You learn to communicate, or you're developing a communication method that fits everyone. But then in a way you could say, you could argue that Canada is in a way still experimenting with communications because you have a lot of immigrants coming in and their English is not that good to begin with, number one. And number two, a lot of people don't even know once they get here, they have to relearn the values of, in a way, do what the Romans do, right? Yeah. So that in a way that communication it's all communication, social integrity is constantly changing. Sure. But then with technology and with internet, information flows so fast. A form of communication can just be overtaken by another form of communication, like instantly. For example, like back in the day, remember, do you use like MSN messengers and stuff like that?
Yeah.
They don't really have emoji during that time. You basically have to create your own emojis.
Yes. Yeah.
And right now, with the emoji app in your keyboard,
it's already there. I just click it. Yeah. Sometimes I write a word, and the emoji pops up next, so you put it in.
You just put it in.
I just put it in.
Yeah, but then in a way that right now, emoji, for example, like I'm on the bus, you can just say I am, and then you just put a bus on it. People just say,
exactly.
Oh, I'm on the bus. But then for the older generations, it was like, what is that supposed to mean?
I'm bus.
I am car. I am vehicle. What is that supposed to mean? So in a way that, hey, communications actually...
It's evolving.
It's evolving.
Or devolving, because you could almost say it's hieroglyphic.
Yeah.
Right? Or literally, or is Cantonese also cartography? Like where you actually create... Mandarin, modern or simplified Mandarin isn't, but actual Mandarin is based off the actual like images. Like the emperor is like dun dun dun.
Yeah.
It's like a guy wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Is Cantonese like that
yes,
as well? Okay.
Cantonese, well, it depends, because you have written Cantonese and spoken Cantonese.
Isn't it all things written and spoken?
Oh,
or is it pronounced differently too? When you read it, it's a different pronunciation of the English word. It's
basic. For example, if I would say it in a very easier way, it's just like, for example, you're writing in English. You have academic style writing, right?
Sure.
And then you have writing
Simplified
style.
English. Yo, what's up?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Basically, Cantonese is like that.
Okay.
So if you, well, since I'm here all the time, I've been, my traditional side has been like degraded significantly.
Oh, gosh.
I'm using a lot of more slangs and then especially recently, I have to use a lot of English just to
Express yourself.
express myself in Cantonese, and my roommate she's not really good at English, she's still learning English, she thinks me like, why are you talking like this? I thought you can speak Cantonese like a local, but I've been in Canada for like almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
Like I've been learning English for so long and using it for so long and rarely practice Cantonese, so
you gotta stay on top of it. I know, right? It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's like I can't do any other language. I can say hello in a couple of things, but that's because I'm not practicing. It's gone.
Yeah.
My roommate talks to his family all the time. He's from where's he from? He's from, man, I don't even want to say because I forget. Let's take a little break. I'm down for get some nicotine in my lungs, and we're back. Yeah.
That wasn't good.
They won't even notice because I just paused it, so it just stopped, and then it paused, and they're like, "We're back." What do you mean you're back? Where did you go? Yeah.
It was a good break.
Yeah, it was nice. And look at now, we get some nice view, a little sunset going on.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
It's Canvas is very beautiful.
I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I just can't believe people say that it's so boring. Like, look outside and go for a walk.
Yeah. It's who you're with and how you view it, right? The perspective we take.
So is there any other things or other topics you might want to be interested in talk about?
We can talk about Hong Kong, I guess.
Yeah,
we
sure.
can talk about the protests.
I guess that's the main part of the day.
Sure. Yeah. It's going on. I'm not super involved in what's going on, but just a little bit because with Rob's class, I'm involved in a little bit of China.
Yeah.
But it's let's start with your thoughts on it. What's your opinions? What's your feelings? Whatever.
Okay. So with the riot in Hong Kong, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Especially for anything like this, from changing from a dramatic, from a stable, comfort environment to something very drastic.
Sure.
Tension with resistance is going to happen. It's no joke. It's going to happen, but it's just when.
What is, I definitely wasn't aware of it when it started. So what was the beginning of this thing? Not before the riots. What was China's action that has led to all of this?
Okay, so the hatred in China really started after when.
That's going way back. That's true. What I assume a policy has gone into place in the last year or two that is promoting a push towards Sinoization of Hong Kong, or at least mainlander push.
And it's
happened over time, obviously, but something happened recently.
Because it's like, once CY learned, he's a very pro-Beijing politician. Yeah, he was a very pro-Chinese. He's like, in a way, Hong Kong used to have like during the early 2000s, Hong Kong had like, in a way, the most prosperous and the most harmonious time ever with China. Only after when, in a way, Xi Jinping took place, this is when things start to flip and shit flies off the fan.
That was 2013-ish?
13-ish, yeah. Or even a bit earlier.
Hu Jintao?
Yeah, Hu Jintao. In a way, Hu Jintao, I see him, it's like he knows what he's doing, and the way that he's doing is way better. In a way that during that time, during Hu Jintao's in a way, occupation, not really occupation, but ruling, Hong Kong is much more calmer and it's much more friendlier to China.
Sure.
It's just only because that, in a way, that he portrays China as gentle rising. But then once Xi Jinping got elected to become, right now, the emperor of China.
Chinese dream, right?
The Chinese dream is just like basically hard push on everything.
Chairman for life, and you switch back to almost Mao days.
Yeah.
Not maybe all the way back to Mao days, but it's a definitely shift to even like Chinese heritage of one leader who has the mandate of heaven to promote the betterment of China in their way.
Yes.
I'm doing air quotes when I'm saying this.
So it is from Xi Jinping, that's where the mainlandization and a lot of stuff that Hong Kong's core values being eroded because of him exerting too much power, especially interfering with the government judicial systems.
Okay.
That's where for example, I usually during Hong Kong we have elections, but it's mostly like a district elections. And this is when he actually comes into power. You have more and more people who are senile, but they're elected to vote. They were shifted to the voting center by pro-Chinese activists or pro-Chinese politicians. They pay huge money to do this, just to get them to get all these, in a way, controlled ballots into the ballot box, so that they can be politicians and, in a way, help China to influence Hong Kong even quicker.
Okay.
But
because the integration period is supposed to happen in 2049.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when Hong Kong actually basically shifts. But then right now China just like, nope, we just want to do it earlier and quicker as possible. This is what happened. The huge resistance is going on right now.
And why do you think? Is it just you think it's the Xi Jinping's trying to just get it done now?
Yeah.
And that's why not wait? China has always what I really love about China is that what I miss in the West is the long-term planning. Like China has a 20, 30, 50, and 75 and 100-year plan right now.
Yeah.
Sure, it's going to deviate, but there's few things like that in Canada. There's barely anything.
Yeah.
We have a long-term military strategy for the next 25 years. We have some ideas, but you never hear Trudeau's not talking, Scheer's not talking about Canada in 25 years. They're talking about maybe 5 years through their election. But that's what I like about China. But this action seems so it might have been planned for the last couple of years, but it seems so hastily designed.
Yeah.
It seems almost like a Western thing. It almost seems like Xi Jinping is doing this to gather support, even though he's already won leadership for life. Why is he dying? Look, why does he need to get this done now?
Yeah.
Why not a slower process? I just feel like it's such a weird concept to me that he's pushing like this.
Yeah, because in a way, mostly I will personally blame the method of communications has changed dramatically. So, for example, back in the day before the smartphone itself, let's say the flip phone era is, I love that era. So for flip phones, for example, if you're trying to dig up dirt on other politicians in China, you cannot just snap a picture with your phone right away. But let's exclude when you're using Nokia 3010s, the flip phones with no camera functions.
Yeah, 8 pixels, not megapixels.
It's just basically you can't convey a lot of information. So if digging dirt up on politicians in China or digging dirt up on corruptions, it's gonna take a while. Whereas now you have smartphones, and then you can hack into people's computer emails and all that stuff. You can dig up corruptions like this. So in a way that communication actually changes the way that how China.
It's even what's happening in America. It's almost the same thing, except the difference is how the state reacts, right? So here's a disgusting truth, but there's do you remember Anthony Weiner?
Anthony Weiner.
Okay, he's an American Republican, kind of Christian guy. He's gone, but he was sexting little girls. Well, not little girls, but still too young, 16-year-old girls. Illegal stuff, right? And he was sending them photos of his wiener, ironically, Anthony Weiner. But this stuff has been going on in America for a long time. There's secret pedophile cults, Jeff Epstein kind of stuff, right?
That's
that whole kind of stuff.
What and what island that they had?
His private Jeff Epstein Island, But that stuff has been going on for a long time. But now that we're hacking into stuff in America, you're seeing Trump is amazingly he's having all this shit thrown on him, and then he's just wiping it off, right? Yeah. But you're seeing a lot of what was that guy last year? He became the Supreme Court member. He raped that woman supposedly in university. Kavanaugh, right? Yeah. And people were we're digging up 30 years in his past and all this stuff, and it's the same thing. Yeah. Where it's that may have been talked about, but now it's happening like that, and people are researching it. There's 30 articles popping up the next day, and it's almost that's very similar. I didn't know that was going on in China. That it was they're actually fighting back. Not fighting back. Well, you could say fighting back against corruption because everyone has the access to the information, even if it's illegal because they're using VPNs and all these ways, right? Sorry, yeah, keep
But then
going.
for my theories, that's like just my own theory. But
Sure, well, it's a cool thought.
yeah, it's a cool thought. So just take it with a grain of salt. But then it's just like the form of communication has changed dramatically. And then with China's economic growth, during the early 2000s into the late 2000s, their growth was like very significant.
Like this.
Yeah, basically it's up all the way.
Yeah.
I had been to China during the early 2000s. When I was a kid with my family, because we used to have property up there, but I have no idea what's going on with that property here. So, like after every few months we go there, things is changing a lot in China, like from open space market into like a sheltered market into right now with air conditioning, hygiene conditioned wet market in China.
Wet market?
Yeah, wet market.
Never heard that.
Basically, wet market is Asian market.
Okay.
Where you buy your food, groceries.
Like a bazaar.
Yeah, not really. In a way, yes, it's a bazaar, but mostly selling food, like fish. You get all your fresh.
It's just an open market.
Yeah,
like you walk into a location. There's sometimes it's like a farmer's market, but like 10 times or 100 times. Probably.
100 times bigger with a bit more bloodier, I would say. So, it's one of my favorite part of going back to Hong Kong. Well, if I could have the chance to go back, which in a way I hope to, so I have friends and families over there. Just to go back to a wet market and see people in a way butcher food. Cool. So because that's what food I grew up with. Yeah. They just get a fish from the tank, butcher it, and then you cook it right away at home. Oh, cool. The fresh stuff. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, cool. I missed that too. I think Europe does it a little better too, where like there's specialized shops. You go to a bread baker, you go to a butcher. Here you go to the superstore, right?
Yeah. Okay. But then it's where was I? Yeah. All right. China's a dramatic change.
Yeah, with the communication.
And then their economy was booming, and then
Xi Jinping came in.
And then because when Xi Jinping actually came into power, not really came into. Let's say he's not president.
He wasn't chairman at the time, but he was the what was the step below chairman. He wasn't vice chairman, but he was something else.
But then he's like really high up.
Yeah.
And then,
Secretary of State or something.
Something like that. Then everyone knows China is a very, very corrupted place. And it's just in a way that he was the man of the image of fighting off corruption. Okay. But then in a way, it's like a law that, he might be fighting corruption on the party or people that he opposes, but he's doing the same thing for himself. That's what we know. But then during that time, he just had this image. His PR is just that, I'm the guy who fights off corruption.
He had a lot of what is it called? Making people disappear. He wasn't making them disappear, but purges. He was doing purges for a while there, right at the very beginning.
And then in a way, he made this public image saying that he actually can do something. Yeah. So right now, then he got into where he is right now. But then besides of the communications, just like trying to integrate, and also they know that there were a lot of bad debts, and all that stuff going on during the economic growth. Yeah. And right now with the economic downturn in China, this is where he is having in a way, have a lot of problems. Because if he can't, in a way, produce growth to China, when people start to get poor again, the communist government is going to be basically over. Yeah. People is going to overthrow it for sure. So for them to secure it, they have to, in a way, do something to
make a new enemy, right?
Yeah, new enemy, a new distraction.
Yes.
So
cool, interesting. Yeah.
So this is why, in a way, you could say that.
Say slow. Well, growth has slowed. It has slowed. Yes. It's now down to 6%, and they imagine next year it's going to go down to 5.8, and then it's going to keep going. Well, not keep going down, but now you have 3 wars going on. Yeah. You have the war against the Muslims. Mm-hmm. You have a war against the Tibetans. Yeah. You have a war against the Hongkonese. Like if the rebellious little island. You have the South China Sea issue going on. You have what else do you have?
The trade war.
And like, what a great way, if you can't get growth, if you remove or rebel against the Chinese state, then you have to deal with these 5 things. And who will do that?
Yeah.
Only the Chinese state can do that.
Yes.
We're not growing, but we can defend you from scary things.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
That's like in a way, because like it's very.
That makes sense.
That makes
I
sense.
understand why it's grand strategy. You know you're not going to keep growing. You know America's causing an issue here. You know that Russia's not working out well. The BRI, which is the Belt and Road Initiative, isn't going as well as they wanted it to. It is doing okay, but it's not the economic miracle they wanted it to be because everyone's a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Sure, England is on board and France is on board, but they're not really the powerhouses they used to be.
Yeah.
And like, oh, that's very interesting. Obviously, this is all hearsay and possibilities, right? But I mean, like the fact that they're trying to create, because that's how America does it. We made a war against the jihadis, and like we're scared about the war. And what better way if the Chinese party, as Rob talked about, is only built on economic growth.
Yeah.
But what about when you stop growing? You have to make a new enemy.
Yeah, you have to make new enemies. Like in a way, making new enemies, or just
enemies,
like,
but still,
like you have at least the government is saying that we are doing something to protect you from something.
Yeah.
Which in a way it could delude a whole collective mind, saying that hey, they're actually doing something where populism and nationalism can grow and prosper.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. Oh wow, I wonder how it's gonna. And then you can also talk about it, like the rest of the world is falling apart because like. Uh-oh.
What's up?
My headphones are gone.
Oh no. Oh, there's there on the floor.
Okay. We'll do a little bit longer, and then I got to do some work tonight as well. But how long are we at now? So we had 40, and we're at 55. We'll do 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Cool. Is there anything you want to talk about?
How about the election in Canada?
Sure.
As I just start to get into Canadian politics, I have
CDN Poly.
Yeah, I'm just like, right now I can't vote at my age, and I'm planning to stay in Canada forever.
Sure.
I'm gotta do my duties in here.
Your civic duty.
Yeah, my civic duties, besides of paying tax, of course voting.
Yeah.
So right now is that, okay, because like in Hong Kong, I never had the chance to vote. Sure. So right now having something to.
Because you're younger, not because you couldn't.
Yeah,
just so they know that.
Younger.
Whoever listens.
So it's like voting in a way. It's like my first experience was wow. I just do a checkbox, put a few papers in an envelope, that was done. But realizing, learning history, it's like wow, I have a huge burden that I do. It's like a real responsibility.
It's freedom. Yeah, it's your ability to voice your opinion and want change, even if your vote doesn't win, or it does.
Yeah.
Your ability to voice your opinion and be heard and influence the direction of the country, even if it doesn't go exactly as you want it to, it's better than no input at all.
Yeah, in a way, that's what Hong Kongers believe. Like we gotta say something.
Yeah.
Like there are, in a way, you have your own integrity, your own pride. If those are under attack, you gotta protect it.
Yeah.
By voting, you have the choice, you have the power or the tool or the weapon to do it. But in Hong Kong, all these benefits or these very basic things are eroding away. So that's why people are angry about it, especially right now with Carrie Lam, the chief executive of Hong Kong. People were talking about the 5 big demands. She can't even list all 5 of them. I don't know if I can only list a few of them, as
You've been gone for like a decade.
Yeah. And then I was gone, and then right now I've been reading news, but then I really hate the Chinese news because like a lot of them already have like a stance pro-China and anti-China. So reading news in Chinese is not fun.
Well, news in general, man, it's all biased.
It's all biased.
Even here, we have 16 types of news, right?
Yeah.
You can go Fox, you can go Wall Street, you can go Wall Street Journal, the Financial Post, Bloomberg, LA Times, New York Times, all this. There's so much information.
Yeah, but then it's like I really enjoy reading. One of my favorite publishers is still The Economist.
Me too.
They're trying to be as neutral as possible, but also listing out.
Your financial facts.
Yeah,
economical facts.
Economical facts. Besides of that, it talks about politics as well.
Yeah.
That's just what intrigues. I guess it's politics, conflicts, and conflicts.
Well, economics says, I don't know if you've studied it, but it's really just why we make actions in a system of confidence within a system of or not just capitalism, but why do you make a choice over another choice? That's what economics is about.
Basically, making the best choice. Opportunity. Which choice have the highest opportunity cost? But it is yes, but then in a way. can be very temporal and very long term.
Well, there's so much about economics that isn't always described. It's assumed, and they're only used to give us ideas. And they work. It's a social science. It's based on the culture of the people, why they act the way they do. Is what seems irrational to one is actually rational to another. Like the conservatives who are shooting for a pipeline. Well, that's their job line. Obviously, they're going to call people out for not voting conservative.
Yeah.
You're literally taking their jobs away, and they're ruining their family and their dreams.
So one of my biggest is like I might confess, like I voted last week and I voted for the NDP. It's like
I voted green so you're not under the bus there.
Yeah. So it's fine. We're still friends. I'm not gonna say it's your voice and it's your opinion. And I can't judge anything. Is that like what happens? Like if this person, let's say Jagmeet Singh or Elizabeth May, got elected, because
she's not gonna win. I'll give you that.
Well, let's say
I'm voting for her because I want her. I like her ideology.
Yeah, it's just like because in Canada you only have between the Liberals and the Conservatives.
In federal.
Yeah. But then why can't we give other party a chance to shine?
Sure.
Like for example, the NDP, they are strong, but then they never had a prime minister who's from the NDP.
Yeah. And very few from the West Coast.
Yeah.
We only had like 5 or 6 West Coast prime ministers.
Yes. And another very very interesting events in politics is that climate politics is being played in.
That's what the Economist said. It's like in Canada is being waged war of climate change.
Yeah, it's like you will never. If you look at the past, like during George Bush era, there were also theories about climate change, but the people talk about it. Yes, you can argue that science was not in it.
Well, still learning and fear mongering. Al Gore was sort of wrong.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but he was the beginning, right?
Yeah, he was the beginning. But then, like right now, climate has played a huge role in federal elections, which is like, wow, what's the next thing? Big thing is going to be.
Until we fix climate, I'm sure it's the thing until it's done.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm really sad that the Canada or Trudeau skipped out on the monk debate on foreign policy. And I'm sure they didn't want to talk about China. They didn't want to talk about Hong Kong. They didn't want to talk about our failure in the Paris Peace Conference.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Trudeau's foreign diplomacy, it might have done well, but his public image of his foreign diplomacy has sucked.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at his trip to India. It was bad. And, like, I don't think he's done very well. I don't know if he's not done well foreignly, but his image foreignly has been bad.
I see.
You know,
it's no wonder. It's like,
would you know any situations where Trudeau over the last 5 years? Like I don't, and I haven't been following it as enough.
Yeah.
But what has Trudeau done in a foreign relation that has been beneficial to Canada really well?
I can't even list one.
Exactly. Like I'm sure he has. I'm sure there's been some trade benefits and other things he's done, but he hasn't done well enough to like. He has no image. He has no one where you can be like, he didn't do the climate change, so I can't say that.
Yeah.
He failed in India. He failed in China. The Huawei was maybe the right thing to do because America's our biggest trading partner. But that's like, it was an unethically good thing to do because it was a weird situation. NAFTA is still kind of shady. He fixed, I guess, the trade and lumber thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I think there's still issues with that. So like, it didn't work out.
Yeah, because like, seriously, if everyone knows about the Liberals and the Conservative, the goods and the bads, why can't they give any other party a chance? You know what I mean? For example, Jagmeet Singh, everyone say he's the black horse of the federal election because of his identity. In a way,
but he's more Canadian than Scheer.
Yeah, that's in a way it's an irony, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like. Right, especially right now in Canada, a lot of people like all the immigrants in a way they grew up, and then everyone in a big melting pot have the same ideology.
I think the population of Canada is what 80% white and 20% foreign. Is that right?
Maybe, but it could have been.
It's less than America, which is 77%.
Yeah.
White and then 30 or 33% mix of other things. So it still really is a white man's race, sadly.
Yeah. But then, with Singh's is present in the federal election.
Well, he's kicked it. I loved it. Singh has kicked butt. I would have voted for Singh, actually. I think he's really good.
Imagine, because like, of the things that I see in Canada's election that caught me is I think his presence, because he's not white.
No.
He has a religious background, which it's fine. But the fact that he's
So is Trudeau's a Catholic, and so is Scheer. They're religiously Canadian religion.
Yeah.
And he's a Sikh.
Yeah, but then he's a Sikh, and he was an immigrant.
Yeah.
So
Well, he wasn't an immigrant. His family's he's Canadian.
but
He was born here.
But then everyone's first impression is like, he's brown, he's not white,
Yeah.
he don't have blue eyes, he is irregular in our society. But then you see him doing very well in all.
Well, he's Canadian through and through.
Yeah.
He's more Canadian. Like Scheer looks like he's from Alberta. I don't know where Scheer's from actually.
Because in a way, with Singh's presence in the federal election, so in a way that it changes my.
He's killed it. I think the debate, he won the debate. He's done well in his videos. I really like Scheer. I hope to God there's a coalition government.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they'll win it, but I hope there's a coalition.
Just consider this fact.
Sure.
With Singh's present, especially right now in the global, the superpowers or the global West.
Sure.
Perspectively, a brown person like Singh, our first image will relate to third world countries.
Sure.
But then right now with his president, it's like someone like this can be president, have the potential to be president.
Oh, yeah. It's a great idea.
It's a great idea. In fact, it's very impactful.
Well, look what Barack Obama may not have been the perfect president, but the idea of a black man running America after hundreds of years of racism is an amazing thing.
It's an amazing thing.
So I'm gonna have that as it there. Thank you. Thanks so much, Matt.
Oh man.
We'll keep walking because